Hello, guys, and welcome to week 11. We are almost done with this class. We have one more technique to go for, and then you're going to have your final, which you guys get to choose what technique to do then. For week 11, though, Tuesday will be your submission date, but I highly encourage you guys to try and submit early because remember, when is your final for week 12 due? Anybody?
Sunday night.
Sunday night. So if you wait to submit until Tuesday, that means you have a short week for your final, and your final has something that you need to do. You have a final exam, you have an assignment, so I don't want you to feel overwhelmed with that. So definitely encourage you to submit early on week 11 so you have time to work with everything on week 12. But before we get started on that, Chef Suzanne, were there some lovely meatloaves in there?
Oh, Chef, they were so good this week. I'm not even gonna lie, I was super excited. I actually have created it's very short because I wasn't able to get a hold of everyone that I wanted to show. So I actually have a little PowerPoint, so give me 1 second to turn that on. Let's see. Is my PowerPoint showing up?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. And like I said, I only have a handful of pictures, but oh my gosh. And there was many others I could have shown. But we just had such nice presentations. I know, are y'all just not like, what? That is a meatloaf. Look at that. Carved radish. Janine was just rocking it this week. And look, Gabriel made this. That is hollandaise. For anybody wondering what that is under there, Gabriel made hollandaise with his asparagus. I mean, that is just, they were just crazy this week. They're just like, what? Meatloaf is boring. I'm going to make it wow. Right?
Nice. Look at that bacon.
I know. And Elizabeth, if I am not mistaken, I don't know if she's in here or not, I can't tell, but I believe Elizabeth is a vegetarian. So she rocked it with some meat this week and so again, there is Elizabeth's meatloaf. And I actually had several people that did the lattice bacon, which is super cool. And last but not least, Luke also rocked his. I mean, I would not have even known that was meatloaf.
Look at that sauce.
I know. And like I said, there was some others this week that I wasn't able to get a hold of in time to be able to show those. I know Roy was on my list because he rocked it too. So there was just so many amazing presentations this week. Nobody was being, I'm just going to toss it on a plate. Everything looked so good. I think the biggest issue I saw was folks kind of forgetting to make a panada because they're just not used to it. So just kind of putting the breadcrumbs and the liquid in. But I saw a lot of comments about how it was the best meatloaf ever because folks were using that sauteed veggies and the panada differently than they would normally have made meatloaf before. So I've been just like enjoying meatloaf all day.
Very nice. I love the fact that I'm looking at beautiful emulsions, that there's no pockets of air inside your meatloaves. Two, I'm looking at beautiful knife cuts on the actual mirepoix or vegetables that you put in the meatloaf. And a lot of people don't think about it. They say, well, it's going to go in a meatball, so I'm just going to chop it. No, if you make it look beautiful, it's going to show off on your presentation. Above all, I am looking at beautifully cooked vegetables as a side too. Janine, those asparagus, definitely no snitches there. They were bright green, and that's what you want to see. On the last picture, also beautiful GBD on the vegetables too. Those sauces were amazing. So you guys definitely elevated meatloaf. Just a couple of things that I would add. Careful with portion control. Remember, one portion of meatloaf is more than enough. But that is awesome, guys. So what do you guys feel about meatloaf and doing the technique with panada and all that?
This was my first time making meatloaf, and I was kind of scared to do it at first. It was like, it seems like a lot of components go into it. I don't know what I'm doing. I just hope it tastes good, how I've tasted it before. And then once I YouTube how to make the panada, I was like, oh, it's just bread. I'm gonna put some chicken stock in there. And then once I mixed it all together and I made the glaze, and I tasted it when it was done, and I was so excited, and it was so delicious.
Very nice. I'm glad. What about you, Mary Lou?
I was kind of hesitant about the panada, I'll be honest with you. I kept looking at it and I'm all like, but I didn't put any stock. I actually went and I put Mexican crema in it. I went a little different with it, which I realized it needed a little more cream as it just sat there, but that was something very different. I mean, it really made it extremely moist from past times that I had tried that particular combination. So something that most definitely I will be continuing to do.
Yes, and that is the main purpose of that panada, keeping that meat moist, because we all know dried meatloaf does not work very good. All right, Don, go for it.
Yes, ma'am. So I did 2 different meatloaves. I did one structured and one non-structured. I did one in the pan and one outside of the pan. So that way, just for experimental purpose. And then for some of the onions, I really minced them fine. And there were some that I left not fine, just because I want to see the difference. And I realized after I put my bonding agent in, I want to add some cheese to it inside, because that's another bonding agent that would have just been phenomenal, and I completely forgot, so I had to just put it on top. And then I did something different, which was a Jaeger schnitzel sauce that I did, and I put that on top of it. So it was just something different. It doesn't really need a sauce if you have a glaze, because I did a mesquite glaze. So it really doesn't need some of that stuff, but a lot of lessons learned in this, and I know what to do next time. And doesn't mean it'll be right, but we'll move on from there. So.
You know what? Experimenting, it's not failures, it's different ways of not doing things.
Right.
Finally get the one, right? And
the starts.
Which one did you like better, the freeform or the pan?
You know, they both were good. I like the freeform. I mean, I like the freeform, where it gives it a different uniqueness. I had another challenge in finding. I didn't want to do traditional potatoes and vegetables, so I tried to find a starch and vegetable you can put together, and that was with the sweet potatoes and the kale as one, because I'm getting 2 in there versus just the traditional stuff. I want to get beyond that, and that was the first time I did it. So nice. All 6 tasters liked it, so I'm good.
There you go. I love that. I love that you experiment. Me personal, guys, this is my personal preference. I like freeform too, because on the pan, I just think that it saves too much of the protein fat. I like it to render out a little bit more, but that is definitely just because of personal preference. My husband, he likes it very fatty, so he does the other one. Catherine, go for it.
Okay, so I did something completely different this week. I usually do the cupcakes, the meatloaf cupcakes with the little mashed potato frosting and stuff. So I did a roulade this week, and I put prosciutto and mozzarella inside of it, and then I did it freeform as well. And I have to say that I think I enjoy the freeform more. I feel like all the grease didn't just sit in one spot. You know, like when you cook it in the pan or even the cupcake pans, and I have like little holes on the bottom, but it was still just too greasy in the pans, and I feel like the freeform was better. And my husband said it was the best meatloaf he's ever had. So.
Oh. And did you find it hard to do that roulade?
No, and I was a little nervous because like I've always been a pastry baker, and so like I've always enjoyed the cakes and stuff, and I've never tried the roulade, and it was pretty easy with the parchment paper. I mean, it was getting the tightness of it.
It's so much easier to do it with meat than it is with angel cake.
Yeah. So. I'm hoping maybe we'll learn something about that in the next course.
Oh, you for sure will. All right, Kelly, just a couple more questions.
I also did a freeform, and I've never done meatloaf before, so that was exciting. And I also have never done it with oatmeal. And it had a little bit of a more grainy, I guess, healthier taste. I don't know if I put too much oatmeal in it, but I mean, it was still good. Now, is there just like a different texture when you use the oatmeal versus the breadcrumbs, or like?
It does. And like you said, more than it does vary in flavor if you use breadcrumbs or bread or crackers or oatmeal, but it is, like you mentioned, it is in the ratio. So maybe next time a little bit less of the oatmeal would be better, because the oatmeal is there to provide moisture and structure to your meatloaf, but you shouldn't be able to like say, oh, this has oatmeal in it, right? So maybe a little bit less next time.
Okay.
But very nice. Gabriel, go for it.
I used for my bread. I took mine in milk, and that worked out really well. And and then I also did mine. I did mine like it wasn't necessarily. I stuffed mine. I stuffed my meatloaf with, we call it benin. It's like Puerto Rican style roasted pork butt.
Ooh,
That I
nice.
did a couple weeks ago. And so I ended up stuffing that, and it was, I just couldn't believe how it turned out. I was kind of stuck because the meatloaf is a really, it's one of those dishes where you could probably take it wherever you want it to and use it as a vessel, I guess, is one way of saying it. And so I was, I'm Hispanic, so, I was going to do like a taco style meatloaf and then maybe rice and beans. I wasn't sure about that, but I was going to do like an enchilada sauce, for the sauce, and then just try to transform that whole style of traditional meatloaf to Hispanic style, I guess, But the benin worked out really well. And then once I did get to the plating, I wasn't sure how to apply the sauce because originally I took the meatloaf and then I was going to finish it, like I was going to continue the next day and finish it on the grill to put grill marks on it. So I didn't want a sauce on top. Then I didn't really want to kill my veggies with the sauce. And then I just didn't really, I guess I didn't have a big enough plate just to have on a plate. So I just put it over my veggies. It was kind of layered, but
you're experimenting.
I felt bad that I was kind of, I don't know.
But I
right. And usually I don't have a problem with the sauce, but that's because I'm usually following the chef's instructions. So wherever he says put the sauce, you put the sauce, But, for me, I was just kind of like.
I do like the fact that you're experimenting with different flavors, and like you mentioned, a lot of cultures actually have meatloaf, and you're gonna get to see that on Cuisines of the World, how things that we feel like they are like all to the core American home cooking is like the rest of the world has its own version of that. Hot pockets, little cutlets, or meatloaf is one of those, because I also grew up eating meatloaf. It was just, the stuff with egg, with a chipotle tomato sauce and things like that. So that's very cool. So I'm going to go for one more. Timothy, go for it. And then we're going to continue with week 11. Sounds good, guys?
Good. How are you, chefs?
Very good. Thank you.
Good. I completely went out of the box this week. I actually was trying to, I don't know if I was trying to fool myself or my guests, but I made my meatloaf and I made it in a, if you would look at if you saw the picture, it would look like a pizza. So I know we all eat with our eyes first. So I tried to, again, fool maybe my guests or myself, but it looked like a pizza. I did use a panada. It came together well, and my sides were, as my breadsticks, I tried to make breadsticks made as deep fried potatoes. And I had garlic knots and fried kale and this and that. I tried to keep the theme of only because of the week of the Super Bowl week and this and that, served on like a party Super Bowl platter. So it came out good. It looked like pizza, but it did not taste like pizza. So it did taste like a meatloaf. We were impressed.
Timothy's was actually one of the ones that I was going to show. He just never got back to me with a response on whether I could show his image, but I did want to show his also because it did look like a pizza. He did a nice job.
That is so cool. I also had another student who he did kind of like a meatloaf version of a Wellington. he just wrapped his meatloaf in dough. And that was very cool too. And it takes even an extra step of that technique. So I'm pretty very happy that you guys enjoyed it and they came out good. And Chef Suzanne is smiling from ear to ear like they did great. So that's awesome. All right, guys. So before we continue for week 11, here's how your class is looking, because we have a little bit to go on for this week, so I want to move on. You have your introduction video there, what's going on, research materials, guys. You have a lot to read from that talks about grill marks and the technique of grilling, and a couple of videos there that you can watch about grilling, okay? And then you're going to click on the discussion, and this is worth 10 points of your final grade, guys. So it is extremely important that you do this discussion, okay? First and foremost, the vegetable and the starch that you choose to do this discussion form on are the vegetable and the starch that should be in your grilling assignment, okay? The discussion combination, vegetable and starch are the ones that you're going to be cooking for week 11 assignment. So this is it. And it has, and I even put little moving arrows there, like please make a copy of that. That is your discussion grid, and it looks like this. So up here, we're gonna do a very fast mock one. Vegetable of your choice. Anybody tell me a vegetable?
Carrot.
Broccolini.
Carrot.
Carrot. Carrot. I heard
Pineapple.
And somebody give me a starch.
Potatoes.
Okay, potatoes. Pretty easy, right? All right. Can I saute carrots?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Yes. Maybe cut them small. Right? Or?
How about arborio rice?
Yeah, that's a good one too. We'll do it with that one too. Maybe cut them small or pre-cook them, right? Par-cook them. And then you give me your reason of why. Why do I need to par-cook them? Because, you know, carrots take a little bit longer, and saute is high heat, low fat. By the time it's cooked, if you don't par-cook it or cut it small enough, it's going to be raw or burnt on the outside. Potatoes, can we saute potatoes? Yes, right? Same idea, because you need to cut them small or par-cook them. The arborio rice, same thing. Can we saute them? Yes, but the arborio rice has to be pre-cooked. It has to be pre-cooked. You can't saute raw arborio rice.
I never do that.
And then saute.
I use butter when I do my arborio rice.
Yes, but
crisp
we're going for the discussion forum, and we're just mentioning, you know, what we can do with it, par-cooking it, and it's because that's the way you're going to answer it.
Okay.
Should we poach carrots? Can we poach carrots? Yes, right? We cook. Same thing. Maybe finish them on a saute with a little bit of glaze. But is it the preferred technique that you would do carrots? All right. If you said no, you have to give chips. You have to give me. Sorry, I'm the one grading these. A reason why. Why wouldn't you do it? You could, yes. Why wouldn't you? Then answer it. So you're gonna go one by one. So let's say we have a green vegetable. Let's say we have an asparagus. Will we poach an asparagus? No, why not?
Yeah.
Because of the color, right? It's gonna turn mushy, it's gonna be khaki green. It doesn't pay tribute to that vegetable. So that's how you're gonna go, one by one with the vegetable and the starch that you chose. The yes and why, or what would you do besides just cooking it? Pan or deep fried, absolutely. Why? Definitely deep fried potatoes, right? Those are called French fries. I wouldn't poach potatoes because it would take so long to cook and it will not bring any desired color that you want to see on the potatoes, and they're too starchy, they will release too much starch into the liquid, etc., etc. So I want to see a reasoning, a knowing of the technique and why would you apply it. Technically, guys, we could cook everything with all the techniques, right? Nobody says you can't poach a potato. But what I want to hear from you guys is why it's not the preferred technique. Okay? This is a reinforcement on all the techniques that we saw in this class, because I want them tattooed to your brain of why you should use something on something and not on another. Okay? The vegetable and the starch are completely up to you. If you want to go outside the box, just make sure that you know for each technique, and remember that it is the starch and the vegetable that you're going to cook for your grilled vegetable protein, for your grilled protein. Because this week, your assignment is a grilled protein with a sauce, and we're gonna go over it in a second, with a starch and vegetable. So again, a full meal, okay? The technique on your vegetables and starch are completely up to you. I do have some pictures of some grilled vegetables that go great, but it's completely up to you. If you just wanted to really immerse yourself on the grilling, then you can definitely grill them, but it's up to you. But I just want to make sure that everybody understands this grid, because it's worth 10% of your grade. Kelly, go for it.
Yes, whenever it says, the cooking techniques, like say for carrots, and it says if you can braise or not, and even you can basically do anything, but for braising would be preferred for meats. Like, can I write that? Or, what I mean? Like, the reason why a carrot wouldn't be good for braising, because braising's better for meats?
Yeah, perfect. But remember, we did do a quick braise also on vegetables. So you could say maybe a quicker braise. Maybe I wouldn't put the carrots on a meat braise because they would turn mushy by the time the meat is done. But yeah, that's a perfect answer. I would rather braise protein because this is not.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Justin, go for it.
I have a question when it comes to the grilling. We do have a grill here, but it's under about 19 inches of snow.
Yes, we're going to talk about that just in a second. Definitely, I don't want anybody freezing while grilling, so we're going to go with several options for you guys to be able to grill.
All right, thanks, Chef.
No problem. Alexandra, go for it.
Okay, so at the top of the grid where you have carrot and potato at, so we only pick 2 vegetables. That's the one that we're using for our assignment.
Just one vegetable and 1 starch.
Oh, so a starch like a rice or something?
Yeah, it can be potato, it can be rice, it can be a starchy legume. Anything that is starchy you can use.
Okay, then just go down the grid on whether we would use it for that technique or not.
And why.
Okay, I got you.
And Nathaniel, go for it.
Yes, what's the purpose of this grid?
It's for me to know that you guys understand each and every single technique and why would you apply it to something or not. Just to make sure that you guys really understood technique, because remember guys, as Kofie, and in every class you're going to see that we are technique oriented. I will never finish teaching you if I were going by recipes. There's so many recipes in the world. And our purpose is for you guys to stop relying on a recipe. I promise you, the last time that I saw a recipe to cook something culinary-wise has been years. And I mean, obviously I've seen for pies and cakes because I suck at baking and pastry, but I want you to stop relying on recipes and start relying on technique. If you see a protein, if you see a vegetable, if you see a starch, I want to make sure that you guys know what technique is better for those things and why. Answering the why is very important for the understanding of cooking techniques. Mary Lou, go for it.
My quick question on the starch is obviously fideos. I know that they fall into that category, but considering that they're more of a like liquidy soup, would that be something good to play with on this grid?
You can make, pasta is definitely a starch, so you can definitely choose pasta. Fideos, you can make dried fideos, but if you want to make a soup, it just has to go with your grilled protein and your vegetable.
Okay, alrighty. Thank you.
It has to make sense with the dish.
Yeah, understood. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions on your combination discussion or your grid? All right. For your assignment, guys, remember, we're going to do the starch and vegetable that you chose for your combination and a grilled protein with the sauce. So let's get started with the grilling. We've all been there. Hopefully, most of us have been there. We've done barbecues. If you're a football fan, then have absolutely done grilling. It is very different to grill one steak for you or maybe 3-4 steaks for your family, or let's say 10, 15 for a party. The grill station on a restaurant is one of the busiest stations in the restaurant. The grill and saute. That is why normally your lead cooks, which are the ones that have been working for a while in the restaurant and have done all the other stations, are the ones in charge of the grill and saute station. Now, saute, we'll talk about that later. Why is a grill cook, a lead cook in the grill, so important for the success of a restaurant? Can anybody tell me?
Because everything has to be cooked properly.
Yes, and let's think about this. Are the product that they're working with cheap?
No.
Oh, they are working with one of the most expensive products in the restaurants, your steaks. Okay? Yes, of course, you also have your pork chops and your chicken, but if you are a lead cook grill on a grill house, you are handling thousands of dollars each night. So you have to know this technique to the heart. I was a grill cook for a lot of my career. You are cooking. The most I did in this restaurant wasn't that big, was probably around 200 steaks in one night. They are all expected to be cooked to perfection. Do you think I am going to have time to put a thermometer in each and every single one of those steaks? No, right? So it comes with skill, knowing the technique, and of course, is going to take a lot of repetition. And I mean, practice, practice, practice to know when your steaks are done, the different types of steak. A porterhouse is not going to be done at the same time as a ribeye, and the filet mignon, it depends on the thickness, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, how they want it cooked. So you have to know your grill. You have to, just be one with the grill. I know it sounds cheesy, but you have to know the grill to a T. It doesn't matter if it's gas, if it's wood, if it's whatever. Every single grill, like your stove and like your oven, are going to have hot spots. But in this scenario, we are going to play with those hot spots to our advantage. Different types of doneness in the steaks go in different sides of your grill. If you have a medium rare or a rare, God love the people that order them that way because they're fast tickets. You put it in the very hot part of your grill, you mark that baby, and you sell it. When it's a well done, man, those take some love. You do your grill marks, you put it in the cooler side of your grill, and you just let that baby cook without burning the outside, right? So you have to know your grill because it has to be an ongoing movement of the grill. So grill marks, they are called quadrillage. It comes from the French, and it's that diamond shape that you want to see on your grill marks. So I have here, you're going to find in the internet a lot of places that say, if you want a medium rare, put it 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other one. Never go by time, guys. All right, because they don't know the thickness of your steak, or if it's thin, if it's too thick. They don't know what cut a steak. If it's a T-bone, it's a different cooking time because it has that bone in there. If it's ribeye has way more fat than, let's say, a New York strip, because a New York strip has the fat on the outside. Or if you have your beautiful filet mignon, it's like to mess up a filet mignon, you really don't know how to work the grill, because it is just a beautiful piece of meat that you just have to love it, cook it, it's done. All right, guys? So here we go. So please do not take a look at the timing, especially not for 2 minutes. Just look at the positioning. From 10 to 4, if you have your clock, you want to put your steak, chicken, fish, whatever you're grilling, from 10 to 4. You let those grill marks be. Especially if you're doing, guys, if you're doing chicken or fish, you want to let the grill cook it. It's going to stick to the grill, but when that Maillard reaction starts happening in your protein, it's going to detach itself from the grill. If you're doing fish, you want to oil your fish and oil the grill. Fish loves to get stuck to the grill. Careful when a lot of people use PAM, I use PAM, but when you spray PAM to your grill, it turns on, so careful, guys, okay? But especially chicken and fish, you want to make sure that it's nicely oiled. Once you see the grill marks on the bottom, you're going to flip it to the other side, which is 2 to 8, but in a new spot on your grill, not in the same spot where you have it, because what happens to the grill when you put cold protein on top of it?
It cools it.
It cools it, exactly. And in order to have good grill marks, you want that grill to be hot. You do not want it flaring up, guys. You do not want to see fire flaring up. If it's flaring up, you have to give your coals, especially if you're doing a coal, you have to give those coals a little bit time to get a little bit more red and not flare up. Gas grill, beautiful. You can control the temperature there. You don't want that flame to be touching your steak because it's going to char it too much, that is going to give that burnt taste to the outside. You want the only charred portions of your steak needs to be those grill marks. Once you see grill marks on that side, you do the same on the flip side. On a new side of the grill, and that, guys, should form the quadrillage. Now, some grills already have them. You know, the rake is kind of like shape already for the quadrillage. Just make sure to put from 10 to 8 and then just flip it around. So this is how it looks on a steak. This is a beautiful T-bone steak. You see the T from the bone. And then you could do, this is how you want to season your steak. I know it looks like way too much, but most of the seasoning falls off when you're grilling. That's why we over season steaks for grilling. The seasoning is up to you. To me, guys, I grew up in cattle land back in Mexico. We are one of the biggest exporters of cattle, especially Angus, in the world. So I like salt and pepper, that's it. When you have a beautiful piece of steak, you want to taste the meat, all right? So salt and pepper. I know some people here in the South like to do, well, in the South close to Louisiana, like to do a little bit of Cajun seasoning in there, that's fine. Be careful, any dry rub or any seasoning that has sugar in it, be careful because sugar caramelizes way faster and it might burn. The sugar might help with those grill marks a little bit better, but you have to be very careful for it not to burn, okay? All right, doneness of your steak. Rare, medium rare. Rare is very red all around with a cold center. Medium rare is a red center, red warm center. Medium is just a pink center. Medium well is just a slightly pink center in the middle, and well done is just rubber. I'm just kidding. It is all brown all over. I really don't like, but that's a personal preference. To me, it's just overdone and it takes forever to chew. Now, here's another way. How would you know if your steak is done if you don't have a thermometer? So I want everybody to just put their hand up like this. Just relax it. Don't do anything with the hand. Just put it up like that. The heel of your hand is this part right there. I want you to just poke it. That is how rare steak feels like. And you normally want to grab the steaks by the side and just do like a little blue, blue, blue. All right? So that's how it feels like. If you barely touch your index finger and your thumb, and you touch there again, that's medium rare. Middle finger and thumb, that's medium. Ring finger and thumb, that's medium well. Pinky finger and thumb, that's well done. You can poke it and you can touch it on the sides. Normally you don't want to poke the steaks on the top because that will release juice, or you just want to do it by the side. You want to kind of like test them all around. All right? But of course, this is the first time that you guys are grilling with the grilling technique. If you want to poke a steak, let it rest before you poke it. Because if not, the juices are going to come out. Any steak you want to take, like we did the meatloaf, you want to take it off the heat a little bit earlier than when it's supposed to be done because of carryover cooking. And you always have to let your steaks rest for at least 5 minutes. You want those juices to settle down and go back into the protein itself, reabsorb. I cannot tell you, and especially, it's our fault when we get into a busy night, when we cut the steaks and it's bloody. Nobody likes it, and I am a woman that likes a rare and medium rare steak. I still don't want to see the juices coming out of my steak on my plate, that it kind of like goes into my mashed potato. That is not appealing. So in order to get rid of most of that, you have to let your steak rest. Pork chops too, chicken too. Here's sauce making, guys. I am not sharing anymore. Compound butters or maitre d' butters are going to be considered sauce for your grilled protein if you choose to go that route. I just wanted to show you different flavors of compound butter. The flavor of the compound butter is completely up to you. For a compound butter, remember you just have to soften your butter and then add ingredients that you want to it. And in a parchment paper, you just make a log. And you just roll it in the parchment paper and you can freeze it like that. And it stays forever, and it's a great way, not even just for steaks, like if you're doing risotto or rice or anything, you just drop it in there and it's flavor bomb. I have compound butters all the time in my freezer. You do want to put the compound butter on the steak for a while before it comes out, because you don't want that butter to be too cold when it reaches your customer, because then it's something about the brain, the psyche. If they eat cold butter, they're going to think that their steak is the one that is cold, not the butter. So you want to make sure to give it time for it to melt a little on top of your hot steak. So any maitre d' butter. I also have a little bit of options here. Salsa verde is an Italian sauce that they use for steaks and is delicious. A Latin version of that is your chimichurri sauce right here. This is an excellent choice for steaks, guys. Chimichurri sauce is Argentinian. Of course, very classic steak sauce, red wine sauce, blue cheese. I am a lover of blue cheese on steaks. And aioli would work, mushroom sauce. It can go on and on and on and on. So any type of sauce. If you want to do a steak sauce, A1 type of sauce, that's perfectly fine. It is up to you if you want to go Asian on it. It also works wonderfully. So whatever sauce you want to make, just remember that a compound butter works for it. If you want to do classic, there's many classic steak houses that do hollandaise on their steaks. So an au poivre sauce, which is a pepper sauce, also is one of my favorites. So it depends on you guys. You can do the research on that. Now for your chicken, this is how, if you're very good at grill marks, how your chicken grill marks would look. But if you guys don't have a very good grill, or this is your first time, I will accept for your chicken to just have the one-sided grill marks when it looks just like straight lines to one side. Okay? Fish. If you choose to grill fish, be careful what fish you grill. You want those fish to be steaky. You want the fillets to have structure for it and not flaky. Any flaky fish is just going to break on top of the grill. So the options that I have here, this is swordfish. To me, swordfish is one of the easiest fish to grill because it's so meaty. It almost cut like a steak, guys. So swordfish is a good option. Salmon is a good option too. If you can make the quadrillage perfect, if not, I want to see at least those lines like the chicken. And also, mahi-mahi is also a great choice for fish. So anyone, there's some redfish, if the fillet is big enough, it is structured enough to get grilled. Vegetables, if you want to grill them, I have perfect options over here. You might want to cook them long. If you want to do them in a brochette or a skewer, that's perfectly fine. Just remember that different vegetables cook at different times. So put the ones that belong together, and then you can rearrange the skewers. To me also, guys, I want you to think about tomatoes. Grilled tomatoes, especially when the grill is very, very hot, you just put them there for a couple of minutes. No, I'm lying, maybe a minute at the most. The char and the sweetness of the tomato, it is delicious. But they are messy. It does get very juicy. And, oh, that's the mahi-mahi. Extra credit, guys. And I'm going to talk about if you don't have a grill in just a second, okay, guys? Extra credit, if you grill me some fruit for dessert. All right, guys? So one of my favorite things is actually grilled peaches with ice cream and caramel sauce. Grilled peaches are delicious, guys. You have no idea how delicious they are. But you could also grill watermelon. And back in Mexico, we do grilled watermelon. We put a little bit of lime juice and some cilantro. I know some people do basil too, so it's kind of like an herby salad too. Grilled watermelons in salad are impressively amazing. And also grilled apples. And I love this one that is just sugar, cinnamon, apples, and a little bit of cream or whipped cream or ice cream or whichever you choose. But I think just grilled fruits are delicious and they are beautiful. Now, before I go to the questions, if you don't have a grill, or like Justin, if you have a grill but it's covered in snow, I definitely don't want popsicle students. So please, if you don't have a grill, if you can't grill outside, you can grill inside. If you have one of those inside grills, awesome. If you have one of those George Foreman grills, that will work great. If you have one of those cast iron or even some nonstick, they do sell them, the pan grills that you can put on top of your stove, that works great. With all of these options from the inside, except the inside grill, I think that one does do very good grill marks. But your George Foreman, your grill pan, and what else did I say? They might not get as beautiful as grill marks as a grill. So if you're working with those and you didn't achieve good grill marks, let Chef Suzanne know the reason why. Hey, Chef, I couldn't grill outside, so I grilled with a George Foreman or a pan grill, and that's why the grill marks are not that bad. So Chef Suzanne or Chef Vince won't take points off for not having a good quadrillage there. Okay? Also, if you chose fish and chicken, just let them know. I chose to go for the just one lines, because it's the shape of those proteins that make it really hard to have the quadrillage. If you have none of those, if you don't have an outside grill, an inside grill, George Foreman, or a pan grill, you can use your oven, okay? Just know that you're not gonna get grill marks when you do the oven grilling, okay? So all ovens have a broil option, and that just means that it gets very hot on the top, okay? So what I want you to do, if you want to achieve some grill marks, is this is what I do. I put a sheet pan on the bottom of my oven. And then I let that rack get very, very hot. And then I place my steak in there. You might not get the quadrillage, but you can achieve some lines. You put it in there, and the broiling is going to do the grilling for you. Then you flip your steak around and you let it cook to the desired, or your chicken or your fish. Just be careful if you're doing it with the broil on your oven. I would not recommend doing chicken or fish, because the chicken will take too long to be, because remember, chickens are well done always. It will take too long and the broil can burn it, and the fish might disintegrate. So careful. Now, it might not be done all the way if you have, medium or medium well steaks all the way in broil. So you can do the marking or the broiling, the searing of the meat with broil, and then lower the temp of your oven to continue to cook. Because that's how we do it in a professional restaurant, guys. We mark them, and then a lot of them are finished in the oven, especially those medium well done. Rare and medium rare is very easy to control them in the professional broiling or grill stage or your grills. Medium well done, they normally get finished in the oven. Let's go to questions. Kelly, go for it.
Okay, I have a couple questions. I was thinking about, I wasn't thinking about grilling, but would mushrooms and onions be something good to do on the grill? And if they were, will they like caramelize it all? Or, because I was thinking about caramelizing, but I'm like, wait a minute, I'm grilling. So I never have grilled mushrooms and onions like you would, like sauteing them so they caramelize.
Mushrooms, yes.
Okay.
Especially if you go for the portobello, which are a little bit bigger. If they're button, I would skewer them because they might fall on your grill. Onions, also big chunks, skewer them so they don't fall on your grill. But those two are awesome options, but both of them are just veggies. You will still have to do a starch. All right? Mandy, go for it.
Hey, I just had a quick question about when you were talking about, seasoning, and we didn't have to use salt, pepper. We could use a seasoning. What are the thoughts on marinade?
You can marinate. That's perfect. Marinade, a lot of people do marinate their steaks. Just the same thing applies if the marinade has sugar. Careful. But yeah, no, definitely go for a marinade.
I was thinking marinating chicken.
No, that's perfect. A lot of people even brine their chickens before grilling because of that juiciness. So yeah, that's perfectly fine by me. Marinade will work too.
Okay. And if I get ambitious, because I have steak eaters and I have non-steak eaters, if I get ambitious and do 2 proteins, I do a steak and a chicken.
Hey,
okay.
For us is more you applying the technique, so it's perfectly fine by us.
Okay, they're right. Pictures aren't that hard to take, but if one of them turns out pear-shaped, I'm not taking a picture of it. You will never see it.
Smart thinking. Alexandria, go for it.
Okay, Chef. First of all, I love grilled fruit, especially pineapple with brown sugar. And I have a square-shaped cast iron, but it has the grill mounds on the inside.
That's
Is that fine?
That's okay. And with that one, guys, make sure to oil it and then get it very hot on your stove. And
okay.
With that one, you can actually get beautiful grill marks too.
Okay, and I have a gas stove with that too.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You can control that temperature. Very nice. All right, Gabriel, go for it.
So the veggie and starch for this assignment, it's supposed to be ones that we haven't made for this class. Is that correct?
Yes, preferably yes. If you can't find it or you've done a lot of vegetables and starch, we want you thinking outside the box, but if you can't find them, then you can definitely go for some that you've made. But yeah, preferably choose a vegetable and a starch that you haven't used on an assignment yet.
How about if it was a different technique of if we end up using the same one, if we do a repeat veggie, should we do a different technique?
I would prefer that. Like, for example, if you can find vegetables or starch that you haven't used, then if you use one that you have before, then definitely go for a different technique that you did it with. Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mary Lou, go for it.
Kind of the same question as Gabriel. I was considering maybe a baked potato because obviously that pairs well with a steak. I have done potatoes in the past in different ways. Would a baked potato work?
Yes, no, it's a classic pairing with a steak, like you mentioned. If you want to be pushed a little bit out of the box, then definitely go for it. Turn it to mash instead of mashed potatoes or instead of baked potatoes, something that you haven't done. I believe you guys have done potatoes and you got potatoes down, right? So I would like for you to think outside the box and go for it. But if it's too hard, if you can't find it, I don't want to put added stress in this week that is very busy. But preferably go for a starch that you haven't used before.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Paul, go for it.
I'm considering grilling a pork tenderloin. So, and then cut it into medallions and then serve it that way. So do you want to see the grill marks on the whole loin or tenderloin, or do you want
for this one, Paul, I might want you to cut a medallion first and then get the grill marks on the medallion.
Okay. All right.
If you want, maybe just, cut one medallion and cook the rest of the pork loin whole, but I do want to see you try for the quadrillage in one medallion.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it'll have peaches too.
Yes, I love grilled peaches. They're my favorite. All right, Anthony, go for it.
Hey chef, I have the same pan that she was asking about with the cast iron, but when we flip the steak around to the 8, is that gonna mess up the cold thing that you were talking about?
Yeah, it might give you an uneven quadrillage because of that. Because when you put the cold steak on it, it's going with the temperature. That's why I want you guys to let Chef Suzanne and Chef Vince know, hey, I'm doing it with the pan. But I do have to say one thing, guys. The beauty of using those pans, especially if they're the cast iron ones, is that you can season the pan. And it gives steaks a delicious flavor.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mandy, go for it.
I'm sorry. Come back to me. The train's coming through.
All right. Kelly, go for it.
Yeah, sorry, my phone computer died earlier.
No worries.
The other question I had was, where is it? When you do whenever we're flipping it, like if I'm flipping a steak, if I want to do a New York strip, should I flip it like 4 times? I know you said like different positions. Would it be like 4 different times I flip it, or is it only 2?
There are 4. But you're not flipping it at the beginning. Yep. You're putting it from 10 to 2, and then you're just moving it from 2 to 8, and then you flip it from 10 to 2, and then you move it from 2 to 8. But you are moving the steak 4 times. And guys, I can't stress this enough. Let the grill and the steak alone.
Okay, so when I first put it on the grill, I want to put it like a 10-4?
Yes.
And then on that same side, I want to move it then on to a different position. How long till I would want to move it to a different position, do you think?
When you see the grill marks on the bottom, you can lift it up a little.
Pull it up, okay.
Yeah.
And then one other quick question. Can you show me again on the hand? I couldn't see, the chat was in my way about the doneness, like whenever you were showing on your hand.
Yeah. So you have your hand like that, guys. You touch, it's called the heel of your hand. So relax your hand, and this is how rare feels like. If you barely touch your index and your thumb, medium rare, middle finger, medium, ring finger, medium well, pinky, well done. You're not applying pressure, you're just barely touching them.
Okay.
It starts getting harder and harder and harder. You can Google also, there's some that also do it with like the chin and the nose and the forehead. but I haven't used that one. Something about like the nose is medium, the chin is medium rare, and the forehead is well done. Something like that. But I like this one. This one hasn't failed me yet.
And then one more thing, you know how sometimes you can marinate your steaks? The people do that. Do you recommend marinating them for the grill, or is that no?
That is definitely a personal preference to marinate or not to marinate. So it doesn't affect the technique itself. Just careful if the marinades has sugar, but it doesn't affect the technique itself. You might get darker grill marks if you marinate just because of the ingredients of the marinade.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Cody, go for it.
Yes. Can I do a yam? Is that a start?
Yeah, that's start.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bake the yam, and then I'm gonna deep fry it with a batter, and then I'm gonna cut it open and put like marshmallows and butter.
I am loving everything that I'm hearing. That's awesome. That's new ways and different techniques on one same thing. So that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And
that's considered my starch, right? Or no?
Starch, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And hopefully the train passed.
Yes, the train is gone. That's the beautiful thing. You know, people say it's quiet living in a small town. Well, it depends on how close you are to the train track. I am about vegetable. Try to push yourself. Well, I really shanked a vegetable dish back a few weeks ago, and I'd like to try it again.
If you want, if you mess up a technique in a vegetable, then if you want redemption, definitely go for it.
Thank you.
Let Chef Suzanne or Chef Vince know. And a couple more questions, and we're done. Carrie, go for it.
What are your feelings on tenderizing a steak?
Ooh, whoo! I could talk the whole class about that. The grill, for grilling, you want a tender piece of meat. Okay, you don't want to grill tough meat or fatty, sinewy meats. You want to do the tender ones. Doneness, what chefs recommend, what culinary people recommend is medium rare, because that's the way that you can taste the protein. So I almost push it to rare, but medium rare is the recommended one. But when it comes to doneness, that is completely and utterly personal preference of each and every single person. Was that the question?
Yes, thank you.
No problem. And Anthony, last but not least.
Quick question. With the tomatoes, do certain tomatoes grill better than others? 'Cause I've never done a grilled tomatoes before, so.
I have found that Roma tomatoes, and they're a little bit harder to say, that those grill better than your big tomatoes or your cherry tomatoes. But to me, the Roma hold better in the grill.
So the Roma?
Mm-hmm. I will go for Roma.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Eliza, go for it.
I have a grill, but it's snowing out here in Chicago. So what do I have to do? Because I think I want to do a steak.
Yeah. So we mentioned if you have an indoor grill. If you don't, you can do a grill pan. If you don't, if you have one of those George Foreman grills, or if you don't, you use the broil setting on your oven.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So you want to start in broil, get that meat seared, and then lower that temperature for it to cook to your desired doneness.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So remember, culmination discussion, download and make a copy of your grid, and that has to be submitted by Tuesday before 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. You are grilling a protein with a sauce. The sauce can be compound butter or any type of steak sauce or any sauce that you wish. The starch and vegetable, preferably a starch and vegetable that you haven't used before in this class, are the ones that you're going to be cooking. with your assignment. Your assignment is also due Tuesday before 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. This week, you have a conversion knowledge check and a knowledge check too. Make sure to do both of them. If you submit early is better for you because week 12 is a short week. It ends on Sunday, not this Sunday, the next. If you grill a fruit, I will give you extra credit on your overall grade for this week. All right? If you have any questions or concerns, I'm sorry, I normally, when it's grilling, I hoard the conversation because I love grilling. Chef Suzanne, you have anything to add?
I do not. I just let you roll with it. I wasn't going to stop you. We just let you go.
Yes, grilling is my baby, guys. I spent years grilling. So if you have any questions, let Chef Suzanne, Chef Vince, or myself know. I am very excited. Gabriel, one last very quick question because we have to roll.
Sorry, I forgot my question.
There you go. You can email it to me and I'll definitely answer it for you, or text me or call me. I'm here for you guys. Remember, everything is due by Tuesday, but make sure to do it ahead of time so you don't get overwhelmed next week, okay? Thank you for coming and get grilling. We're excited. Chef Suzanne, you want to say bye?
Bye, everybody.
Good night, y'all.
Everybody.
Good night.